Good morning, all of you beautiful people. I am about to invite a phenomenal woman to have a little chat. Before that, I just want to honor all of you amazing women out there. It's Women's History Week, month, I apologize. And these are some of the authors and teachers that have inspired me, and I'm sure inspired you. They are friends, they are teachers, they are queens, and they are disruptors. These are the women that I am blown away by. And of course, the one and only, Alicia. So let's get to work now. Let me see if I can flip the phone, which I always have a hard time doing. Et voila! I have flipped the phone, and Louise is in the house. Hi there. All right, so I have my beautiful women. So the top photo is from my work in India. There were women praying in the morning, and I'd watch them while I had my tea, and they blew me away. Aren't they gorgeous? Oh my God. And then the woman down below is from my work in Vietnam, and that was her first day taking her daughter to school. And if you can see it, that precious little girl on the back of the bike has got pearls around her neck. I mean, hello. Anyway, if you can't see that, or you have no idea of my documentary work that I did for 10 years, just send me a DM, and I'm happy to share. Anyway, let's get to work at 11:03. We've got some fun chatting to do. I am about to invite a phenomenal woman named Sarah O'Brien Hammond. Hello, do we have Irish people in the group here? Anyway, let me see if I can put the camera down, and I'm going to turn that light off. The production team did not show up today, so I'm on my own. And I'm learning. Hey, Pam. So all of you beautiful people, chat amongst yourself, Irish in the house. Tell me where you're from, where you're checking in from, and tell me where you were born, if it was different from where you're from, okay? You can do the little chat thing. I'm honoring women today, and I am about to bring in the beautiful Sarah O'Brien Hammond. So Sarah, I think what we're going to have to do is you, Kat, in the house. Sarah, I think you have to come out and then come in. Is that how it works? And then I can click on you. So Sarah O'Brien Hammond will be chatting with us shortly. All right, we got New York baby and born in Vermont. Tell me where you're born and tell me where you're living. While we're doing a little chat, waiting for Sarah to hey Kat, tell me where you're born and tell me where you're living. I'm so demanding, aren't I? Okay, so, Sarah, I think you have to come out and then come in. You requested. All right, let me find you. Can you request again? I'm sorry. I can't find the request, and I don't want to be scrolling. So if you could request one more time, I would be forever grateful. Born in Cincinnati, lived in Palm Springs. Beautiful. Kat, I'm going to post it. So, yeah, I'm trying to see. Yeah, I don't want to. Kara, I'm sorry. I'm new at this. If you could just request one more time while everyone chats, can they tell me where they're from? All 4 people. Let me see, there's a number down here. Maybe that's there. Accept. Okay. Holy crap! I think I did it. Do we have 1, 2, 3, do we have Sarah O'Brien Hammond in the house?
And we made it happen, Di. We made it
I know,
happen.
baby. I know. I'm learning.
You're no longer a newbie. You're flexing that
Yeah.
muscle. You're gonna be an IG sensation in no time.
Well, you're my leader. I'm following you, and you're way ahead of me. Anyway, introduction. Timing is something I'm always trying to learn. And so I want to introduce this wonderful woman, Sarah O'Brien Hammond. Don't forget the O'Brien part. Um, who is a New Yorker, but you live in Vermont too, right?
Yeah, well, I predominantly live in Manhattan, but I was born in Vermont, and my family and I spend a considerable amount of time there. So, yeah.
Okay. So, Sarah, the reason why I'm doing for the month of March, I'm going to be chatting with women that inspire me, teach me, make me laugh, make me grow. And Sarah is definitely on the top of the list. I met Sarah in 2018 at a workshop that you had for, I believe that was the intro of the Now, correct?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So Sarah O'Brien, gotta check my notes, is the founder and creator of the Now, the network of women, which we will be chatting about. She is a recruiter, a speaker, a new podcast host you're all going to be following by the time we're done. Not only that, mama bear of two daughters that are how old?
11 and 13.
Holler. Do I have any mamas here? 11 and 13. Wifey.
Wifey.
Do I have any wifey?
Wifey.
And then triathlete or Ironman? I can't remember.
Well, an Ironman is a triathlete. An Ironman is the distance, but I do Ironmans. Yeah.
Okay. Hello. Can we give him applause? Ironman. I bow to you. And how many marathons or Ironmans have you done?
Yeah, I've done 4 Ironmans. And so yeah, that's been really fun.
Okay. So that's just a tiny bit of her bio. And I've got some really juicy questions. But I think the first thing, we are in a very different time in the work world, as we all know. There's been pivoting, there's been changes, there's been being stuck and not knowing where to change. And so you work for, and your day job, among many others, is you work for a recruiting firm. And so my question for you regarding that is two-part. What are the current opportunities in the workforce right now? What do they look like? And what advice do you have for people who are totally lost in that in-between life? I don't know.
First of all, thank you, Di. You are one of those women that I look up to. I wish I was in your home right now, in your beautiful
you will
home. The last time I was with Di live, we were in her home and she cooked this gorgeous dinner and we had this beautiful dinner party, and it was just sensational. And so Di is absolutely on my list of women that I admire and look up to. And what a cool idea to do this month. Thank you for having me. I'm so appreciative.
You're the first woman I'm having.
Oh, I'm so grateful. Thank you. That means so much to me. So to answer your question, yes, I am a recruiter. I've been in the recruiting space for 18 years. Connection is such a big part of who I am. I love connecting employers with talent. I love learning about people and their motivators and their drivers and what lights them up. And then I find that match as best I can. And there's nothing better than finding a connection in a company, and it's like they fall in love. It's like literally like kind of feels like online dating. And so this market we're in, you asked specific to this market, is a really strong market, which is beautiful because there's lots of opportunities. And I'm a firm believer that if you're not happy in your situation, there's one person that has control over it, and it's you. So, and oftentimes we're in markets that aren't so flush with opportunities. So it makes it a little bit more difficult, right? Like people are like, oh yeah, that's all well and good. I hate my job. I hate my manager. I hate my situation. But what do I do? Well, it's a little tougher when the market's tight. But in this market, there's no excuse, right? There's a lot of opportunities in the market right now. Doesn't mean it's not competitive. Doesn't mean you're going to get the job of your dreams. It just means there's more opportunity out there right now. And for those people that say, great, there's opportunity, but where the hell do I start? I get it. I get it. I get it. I get it. I was just talking to someone yesterday. They want to switch jobs. I've been doing something for 18 years. And I was like, what do you like to do? Start with what you like to do. I think we can all quickly, if you look at your job description, I'm pretty sure that you can extract what it is you like to do. And then when you figure out what it is you like to do, you can concentrate on those types of things. And then obviously knowing what you don't like to do, that's important to know too. So that when you're looking for opportunities or talking to folks about new opportunities, because networking is huge, 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 still possible to do in the virtual space. You have to know what you want, because there's nothing worse than someone that gets on the phone with me and they say, I don't really know what I want. I'm like, like take a little control over yourself and have a little bit of accountability in what it is you like. This is your life. I'm not here to figure it out for you. I can guide you, but this is not the best use of my time to sit here and try to figure out what your goals and what your desires in life are. That's your job. And so I think just sitting with, what are the things that I'd like to do, even if you're unemployed and you're like, oh God, I haven't worked in a while. Well, think about what you've done. What have you liked about those jobs? Create your own job spec, and then you can look for that out in the world. So that's sort of what I encourage people to do to kind of start if they're a little bit lost.
Yeah, I think that's great advice. I think there are people who've done very well with the pivot and they're like nailing it and they've left their field. And there are people who are like, I don't know. One woman who I think you may know or you may not, and if you don't, and if anyone who can know her, you need to know the phenomenal woman. I am going to try and get her on IG Live. Lindsay Pollock, she's a speaker, she's brilliant. But this book, for me, was really, and on many podcasts, that whole question of, if I don't know what I want to do, where do I begin? And that whole mantra that we always had was, find what you love. Well, it's not really that anymore. It's now, from her point of view, and I loved it, what is my purpose? Which is like a great question. Like, why am I on this planet? Like, what is my purpose? Without getting too woo-woo. And then the two questions that she has are, what did you like as a child? Brilliant. Like, were you really into athletics and teamwork, or were you independent? Were you a bookworm? Were you in the kitchen with mama all the time? Were you talking like Barbara Walters when you were 3? I think you were, and I think I was. Were you asking a lot of questions? So what did you like as a child? And I think we're talking like under 8.
Yeah.
Like, just go there, write a journal.
I love that she broke that down, Di, because I think that part of my story and why I started the Now is that at 42, I felt like I lacked fulfillment and purpose. And that's a very deep question. That's a very deep question. I think that people say, what is your purpose? Or what?
Oh, for 1 minute, I need everyone to say hi to Livy. Livy is in the house, my beautiful niece. Yeah, I called you out. Anyway,
Livy.
Go ahead. Everyone's going to have Livy.
So I would say that I love that because it is a very deep question. I think you ask people, what's your purpose? I think people like their mind gets blown because they do not know. Like, and I get it. They don't know, but I love that she breaks it down to say, what is it that you love to do? Think about your childhood, and we'll talk about my podcast, but we talk about your origin story, and we talk a lot about what your earliest influences were, what your experiences were, what lit you up. Because oftentimes, Di, you've left that behind.
Yeah, because you've like moved through the motions of going to school, going to high school, going to college, getting married, whatever. You've just checked it all off, but you haven't stopped to think of, like, why am I doing A, B, C, D? Like, do I have a purpose? And if I don't, can I take a little time and kind of check that out? The other question she asked, which I love, is what is your favorite job that you've ever had, ever? And she was an RA at college.
Yep.
And I never went to a traditional college. I went to CIA.
Yep.
So we didn't have RA. But that was her favorite job. No money, but she loved it. And from that information, she was able to kind of go through the tree branching and go, well, if I liked RA and it made me happy, then maybe I can do blah, 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 blah.
Yeah. So, what are the elements of being an RA, right? Like, I think if you say to me, I love lifeguarding. Okay, great. What about it? Did you like the idea of helping folks? Did you like the idea of being outside? Did you like
Yeah.
the idea? Like, what is it? Because people always say to me, well, I can't do what I really love. And I'm like, well, I think that there are certain jobs that will give you more pleasure than not. I don't think all jobs we're skipping to go to every single day. But I
Yeah.
will say that you do want a job that is giving you challenge, that is giving you purpose in some capacity. But I agree, Di, like we're just like really our society encourages us just to go out of the gates as hard as you can, start checking off those boxes and don't make time. Don't make time for these frivolous things. But I'm telling you right
Yeah.
now, they are not frivolous. They are so important for you to be checking in and asking yourself these super important questions. I don't know how old Livy is, but if she's your niece, I'm assuming she's
Living in her 20s. Livy, how old are you?
so
Yeah, I'm a
Livy.
terrible
I
aunt.
think I think
She's like in her
asking
20s.
Livy,
And you know
asking
what? You
yourself
would
those
love her
questions.
because she can the, I'm sorry to interrupt, she can the athletic and health and wellness world. You would love her.
I love that. But I think even starting that young, like we have members of the now that are in their 30s. I love that they're leaning into curiosity and asking themselves these questions earlier in life. Because I was 42 when I sort of hit that wall. And it's okay. I'm thankful I did. But my point is, like, the earlier we can be asking ourselves these questions, the better our trajectory is going to be and the more fulfilled and the greater purpose we'll have in life.
Drop the mic. All right, question number 2. We have 7 people, but I am going to post it, and hopefully we'll have more. I'm a newbie here. The network of women. Tell me about it. It's a little brief. How many members you began with? How many you have now? And what does the now look like in 2022?
Yeah, great question. So the Network of Women is a community, a women's community that I launched 4 years ago. And the purpose of this community was to really wrap our arms around women and talk about the things that matter. Talk about the things that are top of mind for women, but not necessarily a mainstream conversation. I felt like I was going through life hustling like it was nobody's business. And I was checking off those boxes as we referenced. And then I got to a point where I was like, what is this all for? Like, I don't even know what my purpose is. I don't feel true fulfillment. I have all the things, right? I've got the kids. I've got the husband. I've got the apartment. I've got the travel. I've got all these things, external things, but I couldn't tell you what lit me up. I couldn't tell you what my purpose or like what great gave me fulfillment. And I started talking to other women and realized I wasn't alone. Other really successful women were like, me too. Like, I was like, wait, what? Like,
Yeah.
there are other people that feel like this? And there's
You had an
also,
audience. Yep.
there's also, Di, this sense of shame and guilt, I should say, because you've got all these things, right? Like, you're healthy, Sarah. You have 2 kids that are amazing. You have a great partner. You have money, whatever the thing is, right? And so there's a lot of guilt for many women that they feel like, me too. I say that because it was a whisper. Because it was like, well, I've got the house out here and I've got this. And guess what? Guess who gets to decide what brings you purpose and fulfillment? You, nobody else. And so when I realized that there was a lot of women around me that were wanting to lean into, what is it that lights me up? And I'm not talking about like miserable people. I think just people that wanted more from life. I'm not like a subpar, like, let's just go through life. I'm forgetting what the word is, but you know.
More mindlessly.
Yeah,
More.
yes.
Yeah.
I thought that's such a
It's
great.
kind of like, yeah.
It
I
felt
can't
like I was
remember the word.
somewhat in the the passenger seat. And I was like, no. I want to be in the driver's seat of my life and make sure that I'm driving in the direction that's going to bring me greatest fulfillment. And so it started with literally an idea. And I said, great, I'll look for community. I'm sure I can find it. I live in New York City. Well, I couldn't find a community that was talking about the shit that matters. I couldn't find a community that was talking about body, sex, drugs, confidence, killing it in your business, making a lot of money, investing, all these things that
Money can talk for women. Money is my Achilles heel. Yep.
Money.
Money.
I couldn't find, there's a lot of communities in Manhattan that are like professional communities, but I couldn't find the communities that marry personal and professional, because we don't show up independent of that other thing. We show up as our whole self. And so why would I have a community that wouldn't talk about the two? And
Yeah.
so I started with an idea, couldn't find it. So I was like, I guess I'll create it. And I had my launch party, and people were like, so what
That's
next?
where I met you, the launch
Yes.
party, right?
Yep. And people were
So
like,
that was
what?
like March of 2018.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
that was exactly that. And
A month before I got diagnosed with diabetes.
my goodness, that's,
Whack, right?
yeah.
But kind of divine intervention, actually.
Yeah.
Lori Gerber was there from Handel, and you had a bunch of phenomenal women there. Yeah.
It was such a phenomenal launch. And so, in any event, people were like, what are you going to do? And I was like, I kind of really,
You were
I was
winging
not
it.
sure. I was winging it. Of course. I didn't know. And so now, and where are we in 2022? We were an in real life community. We have since pivoted. We're a digital global community, which is so cool. We have a reach that we never thought we would. We still meet in person in New York and about once a quarter. So we do most of our stuff digitally. So wherever you are in the world, you can be a member, which is exciting. We love the diversity that this has afforded us. And we talk about, like I said, things that are top of mind for women, but not necessarily a mainstream conversation, specifically around career, self-discovery, motherhood, if you're a mother, and health and wellness. So really specifically around those pillars, because we feel like those are sort of the whole of a woman. And so we talk about everything. I say, if you're Googling it or talking to your therapist about it, but nobody else, that's what we talk about. That's the fun stuff.
How do we follow on Instagram? Yeah, how do we follow the Now on Instagram?
Yeah, I'm just putting it. It's just the Now NYC. Thank you for asking.
There you go. There you go. Thank you, Robin. Yeah, I mean, I took a little break, like Sarah knows. The pandemic, like many people, was a real whopper for me. I think what came to mind is I was surviving but not thriving.
Mm-hmm. Like most.
And I think what you mentioned before, I think a lot of people, regardless of the pandemic, before the pandemic, were surviving but not thriving. Yeah. They were checking off all the lists. They were doing all the things, but were they thriving?
Right.
Like, did their heart really jump? When they thrilled when they walked into the office, when they walked into their home, when they connected intimately with their husband. I mean, we go there with the Now.
Yep.
And Sarah knows that even though I took a little break and I had to take care of my dad, and then I had to grieve my dad, and that's a whole nother subject, I'm back. I'm actually better than ever. I believe that in 2018, when I got diagnosed and when I met you, I believe I planted the seed, and now I'm watering the blossoms, the buds.
Ooh, yes.
Hello, can I get an amen? Yes. So I'm back, and I'm doing I don't like to lock into anything. I'm doing the IG once a week. I'm not going to tell you it'll be every Sunday. It's once a week with anyone that is teaching or inspiring me that I can like share with other people. So,
what a gift!
Question number 3, huh?
You're giving such a gift to your audience, to your community.
To my people.
No, people will watch the replay.
No, I know. I'm sure.
Numbers. I'll tell you an interesting story. Sometimes, the Now we're about 100 members, and sometimes we'll have events and 5 people will show up. And in my mind, I'm like, oh my gosh, I think that's a failure. Like, why weren't 100 people there? Well, guess what? People have lives. People have other commitments. People can watch everything on replay, so they can access it at any time, which is fabulous. And so I'll get emails after the event, and someone will say, thank you for holding space. If there were more people, I likely wouldn't have shared what I shared. And so it doesn't matter the number. And I think that's a hard thing. I tend to be a person who, if it's not a big turnout or this, that, the other, I feel like, oh my gosh, I could have been better. This limiting beliefs that inner critic comes in, but you just never know. You never know who you're going to impact and who needs to hear this message today. So thank you,
and
everybody who's here.
I think Rita, my girl Rita, can things that she needs to hear now. Rita from Canada. So this is another complication, but during the pandemic, I ended up working out every morning at 11 a.m. with Isaac Boots, who's like the celebrity trainer.
I love Isaac Boots. He's so
special. Hello. Okay, so we have a bunch of we're known as booth babies because every morning at 11 o'clock, it would get me out of my depression, out of my couch, and we worked out. We ended up chatting, forming great friendships. I've only met three booth babies in real life, but we're a group of like 130 women,
Oh my
and they're
gosh, I
phenomenal.
love that.
Yeah, and
It's
so that'll
so
be
phenomenal.
another chat. So one of the women, her name is Tracy, and she's at well with underscore Tracy. She's a spirit junkie from Gabby like me. She's an IIN graduate like me, and she's a booth baby. So she started during the pandemic to do meditation. It's called Zen and 10 minutes at 10 o'clock. That's it. Every day, free on Instagram.
I love that. I want to
When she
join.
started, there were like two people, but she did it every morning. And now, there are days that we have 40, and she'll post it. But I love that you said it's not about the number. I'm not going to even look at that number
No.
because it really doesn't matter. You and I are having a phenomenal conversation, many more to come. And whoever's lucky enough to be live here is getting us live. But I'm going to post it, and little by little, I'm going to build whatever I'm building. So,
Totally. I love that. And guess what? It really is about if you're coming at it from a place of like true intentionality behind, I want to get these ratings. It's like, no, people know that. Just be who you are. Like,
yeah.
people love you. People are obsessed with you. They don't, it's like, don't even look at that because that shit comes.
Well, I have to tell you, I hope no one's offended by bad language. I turned 59 this year, and I thought for a whole year, I'm going to hear, girl, you're going to hit the big one. So I'm now calling it 50 fucking 9. And I got to tell you, it is feeling great. I'm only a couple months into it. I'm loving it.
Love it.
It's
Love it.
it's a good year.
I
Okay.
mean, I
My
think
third,
isn't it all mindset at the end of the day? Like, I'm just like, come on, just own it.
no, I'm a
It's
little droopy. No, no, it's not on my.
but that's life. That's called gravity. It's okay.
Okay. Anyway, I digress. We have a few more questions. So this one's a quick one, and it's one of my favorites. I changed it from the one I sent you, but I know you'll be able to do it. Three women, dead or alive, that inspire you.
Oh gosh, that is
You
really
can do two or one.
that's so tough because I feel like there's so many women that inspire me every day. Like I'm so blessed to run a community where I interact with women who are doing badass shit in the world and they just inspire me and it just completely reinforces why I do the work I do. I already said,
Whatever comes top of the mind,
yeah,
just
I mean,
whatever
I think
shoots
right
out.
now there's a lot of I'm listening to a lot of Glennon Doyle. I don't know if there's any Glennon Doyle fans out there.
Glennon Doyle fans. Anyone like Glennon
I
Doyle?
love the
Yep.
work that she's doing. Stacey Abrams, obviously, like just doing so much good work out there and educating. And I think we need, unfortunately, an education. And I'm really appreciative and grateful, and I love the work that she's doing. I think that people like Michelle Obama totally inspire me, and I'm in love with her and everything that she's done and continues to do. And yeah, I mean, I could go on. Brene
That's
Brown
fine.
is
Yeah,
amazing, and just
yeah.
not to be, I feel like that's a little vanilla, but I don't know. It creates
There's
inspiration.
nothing.
So
Yeah, but I know you nailed it. There's nothing vanilla. I mean, I'm posting it somewhere. I don't know. Maybe on Facebook. I took all the books and then I put it in the intro of female authors that are teachers and chefs and coaches and friends. I have it on my dining room table,
love it.
and I have a big dining room table, and it's really powerful, it's really powerful. So I love that question, and I think it changes. There's a woman I'm working for right now. I've got a couple of side hustles while the W Hotel is still very quiet. We're still trying to get our footing back. And I work with her in backstage catering, something I've never done, and she's phenomenal. But I asked her three favorite, and it was Harriet Tubman, Michelle Obama, and maybe Ruth Bader. But if someone came to me, if like Dick said, Diana, um, because there are too many. I would say Ruth Bader, like she comes to my top.
Oh, yes.
I would say, believe it or not, I would say the phenomenal woman called Yamana, and if you don't know,
Don't know
I'll
her
tell you
either.
more. Yeah, so I did a live, I don't know, last live I did. So she healed my feet and my body. I'll leave it at that. And I would say this woman, if you don't have her book, Naomi Raplansky, I met her in meditation class that we used to do live on the Upper West Side. She's 103.
Wow.
She wrote this book when she turned 100 and did a live book reading.
Wow.
I love her. Um, she's phenomenal. I could go on and on, but I think, and of course, Gabby's new book, Happy Day. You can tell I'm loving it. I do the Audible and the hard copy, and she's going to be my teacher forever.
I don't.
All right, now
I gotta get into Abby Bernstein because Gabby rather because
yeah,
I haven't read any of her stuff. People love her, but
yeah.
I
We
am.
can talk about it offline. I studied, I did a master class with her at Kripalu. I've read all of her books. Um, yeah,
Hey, you're
I could
Team
go on and
Gabby.
on.
I gotta look into it.
Totally. All right, this question I love because I'm not a mama, but you are a mama. So I'm an aunt of 17 if Livy's still here. Yes, Rita, I do sleep. And I had a wonderful dinner party last night, and my husband did all the dishes. And then I woke up and walked the dog in the rain. So I do sleep every day. I have to. So for a mama question, obviously I bow to all the mothers that are here, all the mothers in the world. I bow to you. I don't know how you got through the pandemic. So you said you have a 9 and 11-year-old?
11 and 13.
Okay. 11 and 13. I don't know how you got through it. I mean, so my question to you is now that we've kind of come out of the pandemic, kind of, I'm not going to finalize anything. We're now into a climate of war. So as a mother, what tips do you have for other mothers out there of how to talk and how to, especially at 11 and 13 or younger? What do you want to share?
Yeah, I mean, living in New York City, we have a lot of exposure to a lot, and so our dining room conversations, dinner table conversations are probably very different than most. My kids are super aware. They're super inclusive. We they see a lot and they're very observant and they talk about a lot. And so it's lends to really beautiful conversations. And I am a believer and a firm teacher in talking about the things. And as I said about the community, we talk about the things. We talk about the shit that nobody's talking about. That you're like
Mm-hmm.
tight-lipped, like tight-lipped. And I think for my kids, it's the same. So, I'm at dinner, I'm talking about sex and pornography and high school essays. We talk about everything, and I think the same is true with what's going on. We've talked a lot about Russia and Ukraine. We've talked a lot about what's happening. There's a lot of questions, and we don't have all the answers. And I think that the one thing that I think is important for me, and I don't give advice to parents. I just share what I do, and people can choose to take that. But I don't
That's
believe
good
in
advice.
advising people because everyone's in their own lane and people got their own situation. But for me, I think it's okay to say, like, I don't know. I don't know why, right? Like, and I try to give actionable things that they can do, which is like the only thing they can control over the situation is what they put out into the world. And I believe there's a collective ripple. And I believe that if you put out hope and possibility, if you put out forgiveness, if you put out kindness, I do believe that those things
We'll come back.
reverberate out into the world. And yes, they do come back. And so I think it's just important to be mindful of like what you can control. And you can control yourself. You can control the way you talk to others. And obviously, like if you have the means to contribute to organizations and things of that nature, obviously there's much need for those types of things, but some people aren't in a position where they're able to contribute. And so whether it's volunteering, I volunteer every week for an organization called God's Love We Deliver. It's not.
Oh, I love them. I volunteer for them. I love them.
Love God's Love We Deliver.
Fantastic. Very well organized.
We've got an amazing crew. Every Friday morning, I volunteer from 6:30 to 8:30 a.m. But it's not tied to what's happening in Ukraine. My point is that like that's my contribution. And so if your contribution is you can show up in this way, or you can put this kindness out into the world, or you can respond versus reacting, that collective response, that collective goodness, I do think eventually reaches who it's intended to reach. And so, you know, I think for me, that what's worked for my family is just talking, being open, letting the kids share what they know, and then being fine with like not having all the answers. I mean, I would be an idiot, a fool to think that I have all the answers. And so, and I don't want my kids to think that they have to have all the answers when they get to be 46 years old either.
Yeah. I think that's great. I'm a health coach, and I'm a firm believer of saying, you know what? I actually don't know, but let me see if I can find out.
Yes.
And I think you're a mama bear of kids in New York. And for anyone who's not in New York, kids that grow up in New York are very different than any other kid in the world, I believe. We're like New York is high-powered and intense, and right now New York is not going through a good time. That's another conversation. So the fact that your kids are sitting in a dining room table with you and your husband, and you're opening that platform, and kids in New York, probably kids all over, at 11 and 13, they're looking and talking at things that I never even thought about. We don't need to go into that, but they're way ahead. So why not get ahead of it and talk about it?
Well,
so
if they're
I
not
love
talking
that.
about it, they're getting the answers
They are.
from somewhere else. And
another family.
I would rather, I'd rather be the person, the voice of reason, than the World Wide Web.
Yep. So the fifth question, and maybe we'll throw a bonus in, or if anyone has questions, just throw them in for Sarah. The fifth question I love the most. You don't have to do really long, whatever comes to your mind, but a lot of coaches and teachers that I've had, they narrow it down to these two questions. So I'm taking their questions. Number one, what is your why? And number two, what are you curious about? Like something out of the box.
It's interesting. The what's your why? We do that in our goal setting course. And it's called the 7-level deep exercise, which gets you truly to what your why is. So if your goal, let's say one of your goals for the year was like, I want to be financially free, or I want to be financially savvy. You know, my financial literacy, I want to increase, or I don't know, something about that. And then you go and you ask yourself why. And then the first answer is topical. It's like you kind of start at the head. The first answer is pretty topical. And then you say, okay, so why do you want that? And then the second answer was a little deeper. Okay, why do you want that? And it starts working its way down. And by the 7th time you ask why, it's typically the reason. It typically gets
like
to
peeling the onion.
Yes, it gets to the heart, because our first response is typically head, right? It's very like topical. But then
I need to pay the rent.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Like money gives you options. Okay, great. Yeah, that's true. But why are options important to you?
You're diving in.
So I think my why, I mean, it's.
And it can change all the time.
It is
but
fluid.
Today, what's your why?
It's very fluid. I think my why right now is tied directly to what is it all worth? Like, what's the purpose? So like anything I do is sort of tied to that. Like, is it fulfilling me? Like my why is like, do I feel that it brings me greater connection to my kids? Does it bring me greater connection to my partner? Does it fuel my soul? This, whatever it is that I'm doing. And I think that the why is just like, I've gone through life running. I've been moving at
literally running. Literally,
yeah, literally and figuratively.
Marathon runner here, if you're catching it late. Yeah.
Literally and figuratively, but I've been running, checking off all these boxes in life, and I've just been hustling, and I'm ready to set that aside and now ready to really step into what is it that really brings me happiness. And if it doesn't, I'm not doing it. And so there are things in my life, and that there are things in my life I'm currently doing that don't bring me happiness. And those are things that I'm working toward removing from my life. But it doesn't happen like that. It's not like I can just stop X, Y, and Z. You know, I got to pay my mortgage. I got to, you know, but it's becoming aware of those things and then taking the necessary steps to better your situation. So I don't know if
Okay.
that answered the why.
Yeah, it totally does. And I love that you came fluid because my why today is probably going to be, it might be, I'm not going to say probably different than my why 5 months ago, and maybe different from my why 5 months from now,
Yeah.
because I might have learned things